Welcome back to Consider This. I'm Melisa, Idris, with me, Sharaad, Kuttan. Now, last Thursday, during a special meeting with the Education Ministry, Tun Dr Mahathir Mohamad, who is now Acting Education Minister, had reportedly talked about reinstating the policy of teaching and learning science and mathematics in English, or better known as PPSMI. Now, Mahathir's remarks at the meeting was uploaded on his official YouTube account on Friday. However, it does not mention how or when the new teaching policy would be implemented. So to discuss this further, we have joining us on the line Professor Ganakumaran Subramaniam, Head of the School of Education at University of Nottingham, Malaysia. Prof. Gana, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, could you begin by clarifying this policy? Is this policy about improving competency in English or improving competency in science and mathematics?
Thank you for having me on the show. I think at this moment we aren't sure whether it's going to be a policy or whether it's going to be a program. Because currently we have going on the dual language program, so we're really not sure what's going to happen with this. But hearing what the Prime Minister said, and also the kind of news that's come out since. It appears to be, a model that reflects closely the PPSMI, or the teaching of mathematics and science and English. And if that's the case, and again, these are the points that have been raised, that teaching maths and science and English would be useful to improve the quality of English in the country, but also because studying these subjects in English would then allow our students to access knowledge or current knowledge in the subject or in the subject or in the field. So these are the points that have been raised. I'm not sure which is first, which is the priority, improving English or accessing current knowledge in the field.
So, as somebody who's a former teacher and now, as an educationist, what do you think are the weaknesses that this policy is supposed to address? Surely that would be the reason to have a new program or have a new policy orientation. There's a problem or there's a crisis or something's not happening, and therefore we need to change the way we're doing things now. What is the problem?
I'm not sure what's the problem. I think the problem largely is in English. The fact that, the country is not performing up to the level that, we wanted to perform. All the students are not performing to that level. PPSMI or math and science seems to be the subject that is favored to act as a context to improve the language, while at the same time, acquiring the skills in math and science and English. So that is where this seems to be coming from, based on PISA scores where, we fall below the PISA average, global average, perhaps even, the TIMSS results in the country. So these are probably where the anxieties are coming from for the implementation of a policy like this.
I like what you pointed out, Gana, a little bit earlier in saying that, where is the priority, right? There seems to be a little bit of policy confusion. So is it in improving English, or is it in giving access to current knowledge in the field of maths and science? Your personal opinion, what do you think is the priority?
Well, I don't know. But when we look at research in the field, not much research is done. In fact, perhaps, we are also following what some of the other countries are doing. Quite a lot of countries are doing this English medium of instruction thing. And there's some research available in terms of how successful this approach is. Where language development is considered, results or research shows that in 4 years of using English as a medium of instruction for any subject, maths and science or any other subject, the increase in language proficiency is only perhaps up to 0.5 in the IELTS score. So it's really not that high, for us to move or shift only 0.5 based on the IELTS scale. On the other hand, if we took language as it is, and did an extensive, intensive English program, it would probably take about 12 weeks to get up to that level of improvement. So
that's considerable.
So where language itself is concerned, so this perhaps is not the way to go to improve English, according to research.
Gana, so let's focus on English, because I think a lot of the sympathy for this program is feeling that somehow this is a way to improve English, right? And parents are desperate for their children to gain that competency. How is the standards, or what are the standards of language education, English language classes in our schools today? Is it appalling? Or is it bad? Or should we disaggregate the schools so that we have a clearer sense of where English is being taught well and where it's not being taught well?
I think the Ministry of Education, credit to it, did a large-scale study in terms of benchmarking the kind of English language competence in Malaysian schools. And they found, of course, a disparity between urban and rural schools. They found, that perhaps our students are not meeting the levels, in general terms, to students in sort of developed countries or globally. So then what they did was they brought in this, this global benchmark called the CFR, the Common European Framework, and then created an English language roadmap, which said that students in primary schools need to achieve a certain level of competency. Students in secondary school have got different targets to achieve. At pre-university levels, different target, and at university level, different targets. So the ministry has done these things in trying to improve English language competence among our students. Apart from that, they've also brought in curriculum change. They've also brought in programs to support the growth, programs like the highly immersive programs to support reaching these targets for language is concerned. Unfortunately, we have not given these programs enough time to show results. These are relatively new programs.
How much time do you think is a realistic time frame for such a policy implementation?
Oh, I think anything between 5 to 10 years would be, a suitable time, because you need to allow time for people to, understand the policy, understand the way it should be implemented, and the subjects be taught. So you need to give time for these things. At this stage, even if we are talking about teaching of maths and science and English, we are not ready. Though we have been doing the dual language program for some time now, but the dual language program is not for all students. It's for selected students in selected schools. It is not even in every school in the country.
Well, Gana, of course, when it comes to time, politicians are thinking in terms of electoral cycles. 5 to 10 years is 2 electoral cycles, or 1 or 2, depending on if it's 5 or 10. The question is, is our education policy driven essentially by political considerations rather than pedagogical ones, the ones that you pointed to? And where do we go if, in fact, politics and not a sense of how education ought to be is driving our policy?
I think the drive to, sort of enhance mathematics and science in Malaysia, or increase the number of students who take up mathematics and science in Malaysia, is something that's driven from a vision. The country wants to be there among the developing nations in terms of progress, particularly in the 21st century. Considering the needs of Education 4.0. So there is a vision to to have the country there together with other developing progressive countries. And I think this vision, started a long time ago with our current Prime Minister, but perhaps at that time, the time was really not right. People not ready for it. But now we see it coming again. But I don't think, the system is ready for it yet. So we need time to prepare the system to implement a program like this and to have any hope of it succeeding.
All right, well, thank you so much for speaking with us tonight and sharing those insights with us. We're going to be back with more on Consider This. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.